Included the paper sleeve. Yeah. Well, anyway, I want. Yeah, if no one else brings it, I will.
Can I get a sound check on you? Just say something.
Hello, test, test. Am I coming through? Okay.
Zach, can I do a sound check on you, please?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yep, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, good evening, 7 o'clock. I want to officially call to order the regular Harpers Ferry Town Council meeting for the month of October. Is October 14th, 2024 at 7 p.m. We have 4 members of the council physically present for the record. That would be Chris, George, Storm, and Greg. We have Zach as remote, and we have Nina absent and Roberta absent. And Storm has graciously agreed to take notes in the absence of Nina. Would you all please rise? And the flag is behind me this time. They're playing tricks on me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Council, we have, I understand, two, maybe more, I'll entertain more changes on the agenda. Storm, I believe you have one, and Chris, you have one. You'd like to make a motion?
Yeah, I would like to have 7A, which is the Lantern Parade, moved up to the after community announcements.
Okay, so the motion is to move 7A following 3C. Okay, and Chris, did you have one?
Yes, I'd like to request that we move item 5J1 up following the one that Storm just moved.
Okay, so the second request is to move 5J1 following 7A, which subsequently followed 3C.
And I have one.
Okay, hold on a minute, George. Okay, George, go ahead.
And I'd like to request to have 5D3 moved after 5J1.
I second.
And thank you, and this is
Okay.
discussion all in deference to our citizens.
Okay, so the next motion would be to move 5D as in David, Roman numeral 3 to follow 5JI to follow 7A to follow 3C. All right, Chair will entertain the motion.
Mayor Vaughn, I'd like to move that the agenda be approved with those three changes.
Second on the motion to approve, second from Storm, discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, raise your hand. Zach?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Okay, let me find out where it just was. George, what was yours again?
5D3.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, public comment. Do we have any?
Right in front of you, sir.
Okay,
Roberta's joining the meeting.
okay. Let the record reflect Roberta is just joined the meeting at 7:05 remotely. We have three members of the public. Nina, why don't you go ahead and first for 3 minutes, and I'll ask Storm if you could keep time, please. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Anything to support.
So here's my handout.
Good.
This, thank you. And everybody here? Oh, yes, and here. So is this for you to hear me or just for me to?
That's
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm fielding questions here, or if I'm just telling a story.
You're just, what the procedure would be, Nina, you are just addressing the council.
Got it.
There'll be no interaction with the council with you unless a council member has a question of clarification only. Okay?
All right, that's fine. Mayor and council members, I'm here to talk to you a little bit about Mother Maple, who is the sugar maple that is adjacent to our property. I think everybody knows that maple tree, yes. And maybe friends with her as well as we are. And I have tissues here because I might cry, and I'm sorry. I'm already crying, sorry. There's a lot of emotion here about this tree. Please excuse me.
Take your time.
All right.
Take your
Well, I
time.
don't have that much time.
You're just
but
talking to a group of us around the table, okay?
It's me and the tree.
Oh, okay.
So it's nothing to do with you guys. I'm in front of people all the time. So, um, so this tree, is sick, okay? She has a cinder fungus. We paid Bartlett to come and check her out because and do a diagnostic because there was a question from Christy about whether or not she was hollow. And, indeed, it turns out she does have a fungus that has made part of her hollow. She's dying from the middle down to the base. She is a danger to everybody around because she could fall. But that said, when we found that out in spring, we enlisted and we hired Bartlett Tree to come and do the diagnostic. And Colton Aaron, if you don't know Colton, he's our Bartlett regional person, and Bartlett's wonderful. And Derek Furry had come out in the fall to take a look at her as well. So, you know, they did the core sample, they did a diagnostic, they came up with this diagnosis. But he's been very supportive of us because right after that, I read an article. This is May of this year. I read an article in the New York Times newspaper about Basil Camus, who runs Life and Leaf. This is why it's catchy. Leaf and Limb Tree Place in North Carolina. And I reached out to him because they leave snags. And if anyone here doesn't know what a snag is, it is a dead tree. And you see them all the time in nature. Dead trees of very different heights. You can also make a snag by cutting part of the tree down to 10 or 15 feet and just leaving that 10 or 15 feet. And that's called a snag as well. And so you can see on the handout there are many benefits to a snag, leaving a snag. And it got me to thinking, you know, okay, she's got to go. Mother Nature's got to go. She's a witness tree. She's been here since right after the Civil War. Was he general or colonel? Doctor, and so yes, he came back as a doctor. He was fighting the Civil War. He came back, bought our house. He planted 6 of these maple trees, sugar maple trees. If you don't know, the land behind us used to be a part of our land, and he planted 5 there in Mother Maple, where she stands today. And
Excuse me, Nina, try to wrap it up in about
Sorry.
20 seconds or so.
well, all I have to say is we would like for her to be a snag. I would like for her to be a snag. Neither Basil nor Colton recommended either or.
Okay.
They just said it would be fine to be a snag, it would be fine to be taken down. So we would like for the council and the mayor to consider this to be a snag. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, yes, sorry. We would also pay for half of the removal.
Okay.
And donate that to the town so you can pay the contractor. Christie's already given us the quotes that she got.
Okay.
So we would be willing to do that. And we'd also be willing to put up a plaque to explain what a snag is. So people don't walk by and say, wow, that's ugly. Right? It's not ugly. Okay.
Thank you, Nina.
Thank you. Thank you.
Miss Emily, recognized for 3 minutes.
Is someone working the camera? Can we see the public, members of the public when they speak, please?
Thank you.
Yeah, would
Apologies,
you,
sorry
put
about
yourself on too, Roberta?
No, what happened? Lost my camera. Hang on.
There we go.
Okay.
Ah,
We okay? Deb?
nope. Okay. You can go now.
Okay. All right. Council members, thank you for having me tonight. My name is Emily. I think I've not met one of you formally. So I'm here just to introduce myself and to formally express my interest in joining the planning commission, the vacant seat on the planning commission. My husband and I, with our 2 young daughters, moved here 3 years ago. almost to the day. And we of course loved the town before we were residents, and for the history, for the beauty, and of course now that we live here, we love it for so many more reasons. Understand that it is such a small community of lovely neighbors, and it falls on us to contribute, to take care of it. And the history, and to live in such an extraordinary place, but we also need it to function for us and for the visitors as well. And trying to find a way to do that in a responsible way. And of course, referencing the official planning, the official plan for the town, which I know everyone has been working really hard on, and is very excited to unveil. And I would love to be a part of that, and just wanted to express that today. Oh, and also my background, sorry, I'm not as comfortable speaking publicly as Nina probably. But so my background, I am an interior designer by trade. I have my degree in that. I have 20 years of experience in a lot of things. I work with architects on historic homes, and so I do have, probably a good 10 of those years I was working with architects and designers and homeowners, trying to preserve and update these homes that have all of these historic details. So trying to make both of that work together to the with respect to history is kind of a passion of mine. So I would love to do that here in the town. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emily. Appreciate it.
Emily,
Yep.
what was the exact date in October when you moved in?
I wish I would have checked that before I came tonight.
I don't think it's critical. but-
It was the weekend of Columbus Day in 2021. So it was a long weekend. And so we moved in on that Monday. So we can check that. I think it was to the day. It's right. Exactly. But in calendar year.
What day?
2021 Columbus Day was
Okay.
Groovy.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you guys.
Thank you, Emily. Lisa,
Mayor and Council, I'm here on behalf of the town of Oliver to formally invite you to participate in an evening of wonder and joy on New Year's Eve, December 31st. We are hosting our second community lantern parade, which is actually several days of making lanterns out of paper and reed or recycled materials like bottles. And this is a free event hosted by the town of Oliver. And we invite all the citizens to participate, as well as your friends from out of town, whomever is welcome to come. And we'll have a series of workshops leading up to the event. So Friday night, it'll start Friday night, December 27th. Then again on Sunday and Monday. If you come on Friday, you'll get a booklet, a how-to, which shows you step by step how to make a lantern out of reed. I'll give you guys this information, and if you have any questions, please let me know. We'd love to have you. And it's really fun. You don't have to know what you're doing. We'll teach you everything.
Oh, don't worry, we don't.
that works well. That works for a lot of us.
And it's actually a great way to get to know your neighbors. I made a lantern last year with someone I didn't know. She lived down the street from me, but we got to know one another. Now we're friends. And it's super fun. And Patty and Zach Mueller is here, and a couple other Upper Surrey citizens. So we welcome you. Sure. And they're powered with little LED lights. This one was made by the woman who taught. Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for the three of you. Mayor's announcements. I have three announcements. I think most of you around the table know that Harpers Ferry works in partnership with Shipley Elementary School. It's sort of the old partner in education program. And Patty's been doing this for the town now for several years. And I do want to thank Patty again for all of your personal time you spend over there with the kids. And I know you come back with some great stories. We now have, an opportunity to serve once again. And if any of you, either around this table or remote or in the audience, are interested in a couple things, they're going to have a science fair on November 7th, and they need judges. So they would be particularly interested in looking at former teachers that may be interested in servicing the children over there and judging the science fair projects. They're also looking for interested members of Harpers Ferry community to go over and read to the students, which is another big hit. And if any of you are interested in any of those activities, see Patty and she'll set you up over there at Shipley. Is there anything to add on that, Patty?
You think that a teacher on the council and the council member who participate in those summer fairs will also be interested in that.
Thank you. And not that we're, being specific about anything.
Again,
November 7th.
on both of them.
No, the reading program, George, is anytime you work it up through Patty with the teacher in the rooms. The second announcement I have is the Friendship Fire Department is holding their annual Christmas parade on December 14. That's a Saturday. If there is any interest in any member of the council riding in the parade, see Patty. We'll come up with something to ride in. So any of you are interested. And then those items that I just went over are important, but the real important item that I want to talk about, this is incredible news for us here in Harpers Ferry. As you know, Council, we have 2 CDSs that we are involved in right now. And the CDS, for those of you who may not know it, it is the Congressionally Directed Spending. It's the old earmark that the senators used to, the program used to be called earmarks. Now it's called Congressionally Directed Spending. Harpers Ferry has applied for CDS monies many, many years in a row, and we don't have a good track record. But for whatever reason, and I think it had an awful lot to do with the team that put our applications together and the hard work of a lot of people, we did receive a CDS from Senator Manchin, and we got the monies are available, I believe, in March of this year, somewhere around there. And then we are in the final running for a considerable amount of money from Senator Capito. That grant would be in excess of $5 million. Now, both of these CDS projects have to do with our water distribution issues. Last week, I received 2 letters from the governor. Senator Capito's, if we prevail on Senator Capito's 5 million CDS, our match that we have to come up with is 1.275 million. For a total project for Senator Capito would be 6.37 million. Keep that figure in mind. The $500,000 CDS from Senator Manchin has a required match of $125K, which leaves $625 for that total project. The 2 letters I received from Governor Justice, state of West Virginia will pick up our match money.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is an incredible opportunity for us. This does not happen every day. We are incredibly lucky The the 125K that we were going to have to come up with was going to be taken out of our new renew and replace money. That's monies that we are required to put aside every month for water emergencies. We had adequate money in there, but now we got more than adequate money in there. The 1.275 million, if we prevail on that, and we did not get the letter from the governor, we were looking at a couple ways to fund that match. One of them would have been a loan, and then there were a couple other options. If we prevail on the Capito CDS, the governor of West Virginia will pick up the $1.275 million match. That's an incredible opportunity for this town, and we should all be very, very grateful. First of all, to the governor for doing this, and then secondly, I want to, echo once again the incredible work that a team and many sitting around this table and sitting about 3 feet from this table have done to make this where it is today. It's just an opportunity that doesn't happen. I can tell you that. Been involved in CDS for a long time. You don't see this happen. We are, by the way, with Senator Capito, we made the first cut, which is an incredible aspect in itself. We did meet and discuss this with Senator Capito when she was here 3 weeks ago. And I stressed the importance of this, and I did some show and tell with her, and I forget where
We have a fresh one.
Oh, we have a fresh show and tell. She was awed by the condition of Harper's Ferry's water lines. This is what we get water through. Now, that thing that Storm is holding up, there are probably 10 visible holes in that 6-foot pipe. And these holes, Steve is going to try to work up what the gallon lossage, that's not even a word, Steve. Is it lossage? It is now. Steve is going to try to determine the loss but it would be significant. There's at least 8 big holes in that 6-foot piece of pipe. And that was recently taken out of the ground up in Bolivar, on the sidewalk, up by the sidewalks up there. So those are things that we share with Senator Capito. I think we made a compelling case with her, and I got my fingers crossed that we will prevail with that. So with that said, let's move on to the agenda. Recorder Nina is not here. Let me go with community announcement. No one from the hotel is here. Park Service. And other
didn't show.
Other did not show? Okay. 7A.
Oh, Mayor Vaughn,
Sure.
I did have 2 brief announcements.
Okay, sure.
One is I wanted to acknowledge Lisa's presence here tonight reminds me that we had a wonderful event at the train station last weekend. The Canal Town Partnership, largely Charma Quarles, the Bolivar representative, arranged a wonderful art show. Lisa was one of, I believe, 11 artists at the station. Attendance, I think, was good from the pictures I saw, and just a really nice event. And we are especially appreciative of the park for that partnership of using the station. We have had a formal agreement with the park in the past of using a town room. However, it's a big ask on a very busy October weekend, and so I was really happy that all went well. So the other thing I would like to ask you, Mayor Vaughn, and all of the members of the public present or watching to acknowledge with me Indigenous Peoples Day today. Harpers Ferry was the first West Virginia community to sign on to commemorating Indigenous Peoples Day. And it's a wonderful opportunity to show respect and acknowledge the contributions of indigenous people around the world, but especially people of the Shawnee, Delaware, Tuscarora tribes, and other native people that inhabited this beautiful land that we live in. So thank you for your thoughts about that today.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, 7A, Council, who put this on the agenda? Was it Councilman? Pardon me? Okay, so let me, Lisa, ask you, what action are you requesting from this town council regarding the land?
No, I was,
Okay, thank you.
really not gonna date.
Okay.
Thank you.
5J1, which is 5J1.
That is the
Fire
tree
J.
commission.
Oh, discussion action regarding disposition. Okay, and council, I believe there were 2 council members. No, who put this one on, council?
I believe the tree commission did.
Okay, that's correct. Christie put that on, basically, from the standpoint that the tree commission, according to Christie, has no authority to make these kinds of decisions. Although I don't disagree with that, I don't believe there are any commissions or committees in a municipality that has authority that supersedes a town council. So it would reside with the town council if the tree commission, generally a tree commission like this or planning commission or landmarks, they would make a recommendation to the town council. I did not see a recommendation from the tree commission. We got a member here, Kristen.
Yeah.
Was there a recommendation? I haven't seen one, a formal recommendation. I mean, if not, we can take it on ourselves.
Well, let me give you more back. So first, I wanted to thank the town council because it was on your agenda last month, and you wisely to back to the tree commission to examine this particular issue. So I thank you for that. And in the meeting we had on September 26th, we actually addressed that issue. Nina was there, and she spoke about that diseased sugar maple on McDowell Street, which she would like to turn into a snag. The tree commission had a lot of discussion about it. And it's in the right of way of the town. And traditionally, the tree commission would have recommended removal of the tree just because it's diseased. We actually didn't make a decision on it because it's in the easement, this particular tree. And we also, when we looked at the benefits of trees, this one kind of is not in our bailiwick. It's a little outside, we felt, because Nina wanted to turn it into a snag, which is something we've not done. Now, there are snags in the forests naturally that happen, but this one is in the town's right away. So we actually never made a decision per se, other than we were going to leave it to you guys.
Okay, Chris?
I have, first off, I recognize Nina's great concern. I know that when the American elm in front of the Hell's house was removed years ago, I went over and grabbed a piece of that trunk, and it's still sitting on my porch 12 years later or something. But I have 3 concerns. One is neighbors, one is cost, and one is liability. As far as the cost, I hear you saying that you all are willing to cover half of the cost, but I haven't seen any quotes. Is the cost roughly the same to remove or create a snag, Christian?
I believe it's, you because we've been working with Bartlett as well. They do our trees as well, so I don't have that quote in front of me.
So Christie, we have, three of the quotes that she got.
Is that okay, Mayor, with, if they?
I didn't. I
Can we
don't
give the
remember
mic to
seeing
the
quote.
public, please?
The what?
Can we have the mic, whoever's speaking, have the mic? Sorry, because it's difficult to hear you guys.
All right, we're gonna try to work on that. I guess the question becomes if the snag was not in the picture and the town was going to just remove that tree, is located someplace else. Were there estimates that were given through a tree grant program? Okay,
I believe we've spent our money.
does anybody on the council or Debbie have any information on that? Did we get 3 bids for removal, Debbie? Do you know?
As far as I'm aware, Christie said that we got 3 bids. I don't have details
Yeah,
on what that is about,
I've gone
what they
through
are.
my stuff and I don't see it, but that,
I'd like to recognize, Nina, are you nodding to have the estimates on? Whenever you see this from,
I'm just a member of the tree commission.
right,
So there, I thought my news service correctly, there was 4,000.
Can we have the mic? Can Nina have the mic?
Hi, Roberta, I'm sorry.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
There were 3 estimates that Christie sent to Pat and I, because at the time she thought that that would be great if we could fund for half of this so she could have the other money to do other projects that the tree commission wants to do, and also bringing it to the town council to make this decision. So I believe it was 4,000, 4,800 was the highest bid, and I think it was 38 was the lowest bid, 38.
Okay.
Yeah, 38,000. 100, sorry.
To remove the tree completely.
To remove it completely, which of course, do you have it? Yeah, 38, 4,000, 4,800. So for a 10, well, no, for complete tree removal, if the 10 to 15 tall trunk, a snag is retained, we are willing to make, oh, that's you. Sorry.
all right, well, we got a feel for what the cost will be, somewhere between 38 and 4,800. Go ahead, continue, Christian.
So when we look at our benefits of trees, this a dead tree really doesn't fit our issue. Fit air quality, doesn't do anything with storm management, doesn't help the climate, soil, doesn't really help. So that's why we kind of could not make a decision on this. But it could indirectly help wildlife, birds and other mammals.
Okay, even though you could not make a decision, Christian, were you able to make a recommendation to the town council? Do you know if that came up during your
We
delivery?
did not vote on that.
Okay, Chris.
My 2 other concerns then, neighbors and liability. I'm assuming that the snag we're talking about, that all of the, I mean, this is a huge tree, and I'm assuming that it would be down to a state where there are no limbs endangering.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. And I've looked at all of that online as well. One of the things I saw in the things transmitted to us was that it needs to be reevaluated each year. I'm wondering if this is, leading to additional expense or.
George, you've had your hand up, and I see Roberta had hers. Bear with us, Nina. I'm going to try to keep conversations at the level of this table. Okay. Okay. George.
That last thing, I have seen emails from 2 of your neighbors, which did not directly, I believe, address the snag issue. They praised the tree, if I remember correctly, but I'm wondering, it's a very unusual request. I know we have a lot of snags in the woods. I see trees, falling all the time down the hill from my house. But, I'm not sure how the neighbors would feel. I'm not sure how the visual impact for our town altogether is going to be.
Okay, thank you, Chris. George?
I'd like to first recognize Nina. With your permission. No.
Go ahead. Chair's recognized you,
Okay,
George.
I'd like to
Okay,
The motion is, I move that the town of Harpers Ferry, one, remove Mother Maple, leaving a snag of 10 to 15 feet in height at the lowest cable line. Two,
Sorry, the lowest. What?
cable line. Two, accept a 50% contribution from the attorneys to defray the cost. And three, reevaluate the safety of the snag on a yearly basis.
I'll second that.
Excuse me, would you want to pick up the cost of the reevaluation at the cost of the attorney?
And I'll second that again.
okay, I didn't call for a second yet though, Roberta.
Okay, sorry, sir.
All right, let me make sure I've got in my notes,
Thank you.
George. Removing the tree, leaving the snag somewhere between 10 and 15 feet below the lowest cable line going from the utility poles, correct?
No, leaving a snag at a height of 15 feet, comma, near the lowest cable. Well,
I have it written, I verbatim, remove Mother Maple, leaving a snag of 10 to 15 feet in height at the lowest cable line.
thank you.
Okay, and then 50% is in there, Storm.
I'll read the whole thing.
Okay, go ahead. Just draft read. Then
Uh,
I'll call for a second.
So George Owens' motion for the town of Harpers Ferry to one, remove Mother Maple, leaving a snag of 10 to 15 feet in height at the lowest cable line. Two, accept a 50% contribution from the Tierney's. Three, reevaluate the safety of the snag on a yearly basis at the cost of the Tierney's.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Second from Roberta. Discussion on the motion. George?
In this, I'm taking my language for this, directly from Colton Aaron, arborist representative, Shepherd University. He states in here that he recommends a yearly assessment to answer the safety concern. He believes that the 10 to 15 foot spar is the optimum height for this. And he does address the word risk specifically. And he believes this is a safe process.
Okay.
I'd like to say also that I had a tree that was next to my house, famous tree planted from the National Arboretum in 1922, was twice the height of my house. It was lifted out over top of a 40-foot tree. And it was done very safely, and it was done in the ballpark. We're allowing for inflation. For the prices you're talking, I think the prices are very realistic. I had about $3,000 for that project.
Okay. Thank you, George. Any other discussion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Roberta.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Nina and Patrick, and for presenting this information to the town and making us aware of an opportunity to have this. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The skag can look beautiful, trimmed up the right way and supported the right way, and needing to do what it needs to do. And I do think it'll benefit the wildlife and the nature, and it will benefit our town. And I believe for the record, I believe if the Tierney's could correct the record, I believe the tree is on multiple properties, if not the right of way and private property. Is that correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
It's clearly in the process.
Is it?
Grant is due,
That's a,
still into our property, but, for the tree, and there's no,
Can we have a microphone on the public? I'm sorry.
no, he's, Patrick is stating that, he believes the core of the tree is on the town property. I believe that is a 40-foot right of way. So I think it's clearly on town property. I was up there a week or so ago.
Okay, all right,
right,
but
any
I
other-
support and I appreciate the data that the was given to us to have this, and it can be an experiment. We'll see how successful it is, and I think it's an opportunity that we can welcome new ideas in town. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Storm?
Yeah, so I've been following along the whole time, quite moved by what you've written and what you're appealing. Pulling back from it, looking at it both ways, it is within the public right of way, for certain. There is a potential theoretical risk to the town. I feel like having seen what's out there, it's likely would not be a risk to have a snag. Aesthetics is in the eye of the beholder. It definitely does not fit within the town's current objective for trees, and it would require an annual inspection. That said, I'd say strictly speaking, we probably should not, but I feel like there can be cases, if they are unique, the hazard is always that you open the door for everybody to just want specifics for everything that the town can't do. But I feel like it's compelling that it's, call it a witness tree, a landmark tree, I believe. I went up and looked at it myself a couple times. It does not appear that it would be an impediment to pedestrians or to vehicles. And the proffer, I feel, is an important factor as well. So at this moment, I'm inclined.
Thank you, Storm. Other discussion, Chris?
I want to be in favor of it as well, but I'd feel more comfortable if we can somehow formally include in the motion some kind of chance for neighbors and the public to weigh in on this at the annual reevaluation of the health of the tree. I don't know exactly how we do that.
Well, you would do it with an amendment to the motion, Chris, if you are so inclined to go in that direction.
So the evaluation is at 1 year, correct? Yes, I would like to move to amend George's motion to include a chance for community input on keeping the snag at the 1 year reevaluation.
Is there a second on the amended motion? We have a second from Storm. Discussion on the amended motion. George?
I think it's a well-reasoned amendment. However, I believe it's redundant because it's within the scope of the duties of the tree committee as well as the council to listen to the challenge and residents as they feel about anything. And I don't want to create a special public forum every time someone does something like this. So I tend to oppose.
Roberta, you have a discussion point on the amendment?
Yes, thank you. And I think, George, you make an excellent point. It might be redundant, but my main, because we already hear from the public, the tree commission already can weigh in every year or sooner if it looks like it's going to be a problem. We can get another collection of arborist reports if we feel it's a problem. But if the public is going to weigh in at the 1 year mark, how will that be done? How will we collect their opinion? How will we conduct a survey? How will we get the public opinion to comment on the first year and any year going forward? Do you have any suggestions to that, Chris?
We're at a discussion point on the amended motion, so I'm only going to be taking discussion on the amended motion. All right, I see Zach's hand is up. Zach,
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to point out that at any public meeting, be it of the tree commission or the town council, we generally do have public comment. So if this was reevaluated a year from now as an agenda item on a town council meeting, the public would have an opportunity to comment. So it makes sense to me.
other discussion for the amended motion. Storm,
Yeah, I feel like it's a reasonable amendment for what I feel is our duty as council members, and this is an experiment. And again, it doesn't have to be anything grander than it being an agenda item. 1 year, whether it's tree commission or it's town council, I feel like tree commission is appropriate.
all right, other discussion on the amended motion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the amended motion, raise your hand.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Correction. The amendment carries. We go to the main motion. All those in favor of the main motion, raise your hand.
Yes.
Opposed? 0. Motion carries 6-0. Agenda item 5D3, which is Planning Commission, discussion action, appointment to the Planning Commission. Council, we have an opening on the Planning Commission. Chair will entertain nominations. George,
I would like to nominate Emily Eads for the position, the open position on planning commission.
any other nominations from the floor? Zach,
Sorry, I don't have a nomination. I just wanted to say that this is a vacancy left by Paul Thomas, and I wanted to publicly thank Paul for his service and dedication to the Planning Commission.
thank you, Zach. You're here. Hearing no other nominees being nominated.
Nominate.
I am nominations. I'm closing.
Nominate Dan.
Nominations are closed. I'm going to call roll. You either will agree with the nomination of Emily or you will disagree. Zach Morris,
Yes.
Roberta,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
George,
Yes,
Storm,
Yes,
Chair, yes. Congratulations, Emily. Say it again, Patty.
Since Emily is filling in the, seat,
Right.
that seat expiration date is 7/1. So, four.
Okay.
So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay, next item would be approval of minutes. We do not have minutes. Is that correct? I did not receive any, Patty.
I didn't see it.
No minutes? Okay. Storm, I believe you have the next group of,
How about school night?
discussion action regarding WDA grant CDS funding update. I don't know if you want to add anything else.
no, I don't really have a lot to add, but Deb, if you want to, it's shifting ground, so.
Yeah,
please.
we're making progress on, I mean, the mayor updated you on the CDS, but on WDA, which is separate and was first in line on that, we are going to be closing on our associated loan, which will be paid with retiring debt on the 30th. Things seem to be lining up for that so far. And after that, and then we will not only close on that loan, but we'll also close with the WTA on that day. So that will then initiate the notice to proceed, and we will be moving towards getting that project actually happening. So it's super exciting. That's another it's more than $3.3 million now of grant money going to the distribution system, and then the $700,000 loan, as much as we need of it, is a loan, but it does not require any rate increase. It is being paid using retired debt. So that on top of the 2 opportunities that the mayor spoke of, we've got a lot of money going into the distribution system at no expense to the ratepayer. So this is very exciting.
Thank you, Debbie.
And I'd just like to say explicitly, thank you, Deb, for your work on this and the juggling that goes into it. It's frankly miraculous.
A lot of support all around. So yeah, it's exciting.
Okay, discussion action regarding disposal of 2008 Crown Vic. That's the white vehicle that Tim uses. Who's got that, Storm?
So this vehicle was a police cruiser that was repurposed for parking and code enforcement purposes. It is now in need of extensive and expensive repairs. It's anticipated, and it is anticipated that the town is going to need to purchase as many as 2 new police cruisers in the near to mid-term. So this came before Budget and Finance, and with all those factors, we determined that, and I'm moving to dispose of the 2008 Ford Crown Victoria in accordance with applicable town ordinances and state laws.
I'm second that.
Second from George. Discussion on the motion for disposal. All those in favor of the motion for disposal, raise your hand.
Yes.
Okay, opposed, none. Motion carries 6-0. Storm?
Discussion and action regarding state mandated fiscal year 24 audit. The state auditor's office requires that an audit committee review bids and make a recommendation for the annual audit contractor. For the past few years, Budget and Finance has been performing this function, but has not to this point been formally designated to do so. So in the interest of dotting our i's and crossing our t's, I move that the Budget and Finance Committee be designated as the audit committee to review fiscal year 24 state mandated audit.
Second on the motion? Second from Chris. Discussion on the motion? George?
Question. Does this mean that a professional auditor will not be retained?
No.
No.
Oh, no, this is just a committee to
Choose,
vet the applications and choose with
choose the auditor.
rather rigid guidelines and grading it and spitting out the recommendation for town council to hire a professional auditor.
Very good.
All municipalities, George, are required by state code to have a state-approved
Of course.
auditor. We don't make that
Oh,
selection.
I think it was because the term is audit committee.
Yeah.
That it sounds like. it-
Yeah.
Sounded like that.
No, I don't think any of us have any interest in.
And the
conducting-
other purpose of designating audit committee as opposed to any other bid selection committee is that that committee will also sort of follow the audit process and report back to you the results at the end, at the very, very end. So it's just a little different.
Do we not use the same company every year?
You would not want to really encourage that because it's an audit. So we put it out to bid and our bids are sent through the state auditor division itself to every accounting firm in the state who has put their name on the list as a possibility. So, yeah.
Okay, Storm?
That's it.
Uh,
That's the motion. So,
Go ahead.
and it was
It was seconded
seconded by
by Chris.
Chris.
Chris? Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your
Yes.
Aye.
hand. Opposed, none. The motion carries 6-0.
Discussion and action regarding winter 24-25 snow and ice removal contract. Each year, town council makes arrangements to have winter street and sidewalk clearing services lined up well ahead of snow and ice season. Proper notice was placed and one bidder responded, and it's the same company that has performed the service satisfactorily for the past couple of seasons. So I move to accept the town and waterworks snow and ice management proposals from Cornerstone Lawn Services, including the premium ice melt option.
Second, we have a second from George. Discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand.
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed, 0. Motion carries 6-0.
Discussion and action regarding maintenance of mains contracting. Right, so this is the work that's being conducted to do leak chasing, most notably up in Bolivar. The pipe that I held up earlier is among the pipes that need to be replaced. It's an unexpected expense. And we are proposing from the finance officer for these funds to come from the Renew and Replace Fund. So I'm moving to approve the use of Waterworks Renew and Replace Fund for payment of invoice 102-94167 for up to $14,663 and invoice 102-94177 for up to $14,460, both for Green Ridge Contracting for maintenance of mains work.
Second on the motion. Second from Chris. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand.
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed, 0. Motion carries 6-0.
And then just a brief update about the lights for the radio wave fixtures. Town council had previously approved purchasing for installation new dark sky compliant light bulbs to replace burned out and missing light bulbs and for Washington Street from Columbia Street to Public Way. These bulbs have been purchased and upon arrival will be made available to the power company for installation per town council's instructions.
Thank you, Storm. The treasurer's report, Debbie.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening's financials are for the end of August 2024, representing 16% of the fiscal year. This is revision 1 in the general fund. Operating income is 22% of budgeted and expenses are about 18%. There are some seasonal wages and wages that get quarterly adjustments for the portion that is shared between the water and the general fund that are slightly skewing some of the expenses. So that'll sort itself out as we reach the end of September. In the waterworks, billing income is approximately 16.2% and expenses at 17.5%. There is the maintenance of mains contracting billings that you just approved, including in some of this. And once we pay that with renew and replace, we will add the renew and replace as income. So that'll sort of offset the imbalance right now that you see there. Wages are also a little bit heavy in this time frame to compensate for staffing needs on some special projects.
I move to approve the August 2024 financial reports as submitted.
Second on the motion to approve, second from Chris. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand.
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed, 0. Motion carries 6-0. Approval of invoices and purchases. Debbie?
Those are on the table there and you have a report. Any questions on any of the ones that you, on the list, excuse me, you have the list. Any questions on anything in what you see?
I move to approve the invoices and purchases as submitted.
Second on the motion, second from Chris. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand.
Yes.
Nay.
Opposed, 1. Motion carries 5-1. Police Department, Chief.
Hold
Hold it up here, John.
the September reports or any concerns that would like to be addressed from this current time. I continue to meet with Mayor Vaughn. It's a pleasure. We have a very well working relationship. He's very supportive of the police department. The police department seems our needs are going back in serving the community. I thank him, and also met with Miss Deb, and we went over the budget and purchasing items, which we are about to start doing. And I appreciate her going over that with me as well. That's it.
Any questions for the chief? Good, thank you. Planning Commission report. Zach, do you have a report?
Not an extensive one, just to say that our regular planning commission meeting for October, which would have been next Tuesday, has been canceled in favor of a special planning commission meeting a week from today, focused on buttoning up the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
Christy DeMuth, our WVU consultant, will be here in person.
Thank you, Zach. Any questions for Zach just on his report? Okay. Move to Planning Commission item number 2, Zach.
Yes, this has come before us actually before. This is a request for a lot line adjustment on the lot which is at the intersection of Columbia Street and Washington Street. Previous iterations, the request was for 3 lots to be made out of the land there, which both Planning Commission and Council believed would be too small. This latest version sets that to 2 lots, the full length from, I guess, east-west. It's hard to say directionally, but this makes two lots instead of 3, which meets all of the requirements set forth in our in the ordinances for lot readjustment. That we did have a report from the ordinance compliance officer that measured side setbacks from all of the other houses on that block, which is a procedure normally employed when your new construction occurs to make sure that the side set or all of the setbacks are compliant with houses on the block. Which found that the new setback created by adjusting this lot line is within the average for that block. He did not measure setbacks across the street for various reasons, but the Planning Commission believed that that was sufficient and recommended to the Town Council that this final plat, which is before you, be approved.
Okay, thank you, Zach. Chair will entertain a motion. Roberta, you have a discussion or a motion?
Discussion, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay, this was presented to the planning commission and I presented data and asked for further data to follow the code. The code article 1304, it was 1304.02 regarding the setbacks and how we are determined that where those setbacks are to fall and how they're to be determined. So the requirement in the code for this was to get all the measurements of properties across the street, properties of the block. The block would be considered anything facing Washington Street, anything behind the property lots, anything to the side. So the information that we received from the OCO was inconsistent, did not have all the information that we needed to evaluate whether the 15 feet was the right number. So the calculation for how the 15 feet was calculated, I cautioned the town council to request of the OCO to get more information. I caution that we accept this 15 feet because I'm not sure it's correct, because we did not have all the data for all the houses that's required by the code to receive to evaluate the data. And we do not have a mathematical calculation on how that 15 feet was even derived at, because it does say that the side setback is to be the majority of the measurements taken. None of the measurements taken for the side setback comparison of the houses taken became a majority of 15 feet. It was a variation of several numbers, which none of them even twice came to 15 feet. 15 feet was maybe presented once. The other dimensions were all over the board. So there was no consistency on the measurements and how the 15 feet was even derived. So I caution town council tonight that we need more information from the OCO and how that the calculation was derived at. So I do have a motion prepared to that effect, but I will let other discussion take place, but I'd like you to come back to me to make a motion, sir.
Okay, Zach, do you have any comments on Roberta's concerns regarding 1304.02?
Yeah, so the 15 feet comes from the setback that is placed in this lot line adjustment. That's the number, that is the setback created by this lot line adjustment. The measurements done on the rest of the block provided an average of side setbacks for the rest of the block. I believe the code refers to that any setback, again, this is normally applied to new construction, so we're sort of stretching the rules a little bit to apply to a lot line adjustment, just to give a ballpark for how close that lot line should be to an existing structure. It would refer to the minimum, the minimum setback must meet the average of the rest of the block. And so the numbers that were presented showed that 15 feet was well within that stretch of numbers, and unless the additional measurements from across the street were significantly larger, which colloquially we know Park Row is across the street there, and then several houses sort of in the tourism development district. At least Park Row, the setbacks are much smaller, so they would not push the numbers in such a way that 15 feet would become too small. So Planning Commission felt that the amount of numbers we had was sufficient, and again, we also believe that this numerical approach is normally applied to new construction as opposed to lot line adjustments. And therefore, because this lot line adjustment meets all the other criteria for considering lot line adjustments, we recommend that the town council go forward with this.
Okay, Zach, when you arrived at a decision in the PC meeting to forward your recommendation to the town council, what was the vote?
I don't remember the exact vote. Majority was in favor. I think we had one or two against, but I'd have to refer to the minutes.
Okay. Other discussion, George, and then Storm.
I have a question of Zach.
Go ahead, George.
Thank you. Zach, just to help my brain here, I want to make clear, it looks like what we're doing is we're taking 3 existing lots and making 2 out of them. Is that true, or do I have it wrong?
In this case, there exist 2 lots currently. I guess on the Howell Brown map, there were originally 3 lots. Then the historic structure, the brick house there, was constructed across 2 of those lines, and at some point following that, 2 of the lots were merged, and then a 3rd lot was broken off into a very small square piece. So today, as it stands, there's a very small square lot, and then one much larger lot. So there currently are 2. That makes this a lot line adjustment to enlarge the small square and shrink the larger conglomeration of lots.
Right, so this is taking 3 Howell Browns and making 2.
Yes, but I would caution that direct analogy because previously those 3 lots were already converted to 2. So right now we're taking 2 lots and just readjusting them to be 2 differently sized lots.
Storm.
And to clarify, so the lots that are there meet the minimum requirement for the Howell Brown lots. Both of them do, correct?
That's correct. Both of these 2 lots meet the minimum lot size requirements.
And I just don't know. Is setback one of the things that is considered for a lot line adjustment?
The code, when considering lot line adjustments, is a little confusing. Typically, you look at lot size. In this case, because there's historic structure on one of the lots being considered, and because the original Howell Brown lot line went through that structure, we did take lot line setback into account, which is why we asked Kevin, the OCO, to measure the side setbacks of everything else on the block. And we're, in the end, confident that 15 feet falls well within the average of other side setbacks on that block.
Got it. Thank you.
Roberta.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So, in regards to how the number is being determined, I'm going to read the section of the code verbatim. So I'm reading from Part 13, Project and Zoning Code, Article 1304, Section 1304.02, setbacks. I'm going to read paren B, paren 3. Side setbacks as measured from the property line shall be, as paragraph A states, consistent with the setbacks of a majority of other structures on the block and across the street. An average, this is my opinion again, an average is not the majority. So our code says the setback has to be consistent with the setbacks of a majority of the structures on the block, and we define block in our code as the land that's surrounded by all public right-of-way. So the block is, again, anything along Washington Street and anything behind Washington Street, anything across the street from the said lot, and anything on the other side. So the houses on, I believe it's Henry Clay, were not measured. The rest of the block that we're considering, the primary block for this house, wasn't even measured. I think we're missing 2 house measurements on that block. They took one house across the street, which was the house across facing the gazebo, the house on, I believe it's Columbus, right? Or Columbia. But nothing across the street on Washington was taken, which could be critical in figuring this factors out. But my motion is, I'd like to entertain a motion, that the motion is that the OCO continue to complete all required measurements according to Article 1304, Section 1304.02, paren B, paren 3, present the data once again to the Planning Commission for review, and come up with a corrected number to determine the side setback for lot line in question. And it's critical that the side setback be determined because we cannot create any non-conformities. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta. Is there a second on that motion? Hearing no second, motion fails. Chris?
I would like to make a motion, and I welcome Zach's input if I'm missing some wording. I move to approve the final plat for lot line adjustment for lots 4, 5, and 6, Block B on Washington Street.
Is there a second on the motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Zach. Second from Zach. Discussion on the motion.
Again, I'd like to have another comment, please.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Again, I'd like to caution town council to, if approving this, you may be creating a nonconformity, because if the 15-foot is not correct, we're creating a nonconformity, thereby setting a precedent. We are also setting a precedent by not getting a complete information from the OCO required by our code, Article 1304, Section 1304.02. So we are literally going against our own codes and against the information that should be presented, so we have a correct determination and correct data before us before we make a decision. So I think the town council is making, if this is approved, would be making a critically wrong decision based on improper data received. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta. Your comments are noted. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand.
Yes.
Opposed?
Yes, opposed.
Okay, motion carries 5-1. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you. And I believe that to finalize this, the final plat would need your signature and to be submitted to the county for.
Yeah, I'll
inclusion.
coordinate that with the administrative officer.
Thank you.
Parks and Rec, Patty?
I think this one's going to me as well, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Zach.
Sure. So Parks and Rec has a number of upcoming events. This is for our update. We would like to announce the following events coming up. We have the Scarecrow Contest. The sign-up is now taking place. Judging for the Scarecrow Contest will take place on October 24th. Prizes will be awarded for the most original, best traditional, and funniest Scarecrow. Please sign up at the office to enter this contest, the town office. The Art in the Park event is scheduled for Saturday, October 26th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Children's Park on Washington Street. This event is open to all ages. Halloween Trick or Treat will take place on Thursday, October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. Parks and Rec will hand out treats at the gazebo. Residents who wish to take part in handing out treats should leave their front porch lights on to indicate that they would like visitors, or I should say trick-or-treaters. The third annual Pumpkin Roll is scheduled for Saturday, November 9th from 2:30 to 4 p.m. On Columbia Street. Bring your own pumpkin. Some pumpkins should be available following the Art in the Park event, but to be determined. Let's see. And then moving on, looking ahead to December, the 5th annual Harpers Ferry Cookie Walk will take place on Saturday, December 14th. We're looking for volunteer bakers to donate cookies for this family fun event. So keep that in mind if you are inclined to bake holiday treats. And finally, again, looking forward to December, the town holiday tree lighting will occur, date to be determined.
Thank you, Zach. I always find it funny to talk about the pumpkin roll and talk about loner pumpkins. We're going to give loner pumpkins out. All right.
We tend to have
Cool.
some left over, so it's always good to get them
Yeah,
used.
loners. We're going to get some loners. ORC, Roberta, anything to report?
Did we
Sorry, sir, there's no report. There's no report.
Okay, thank you.
Apologies. I think we may have skipped an agenda item.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Zach, with the media.
Okay, yes. Also for Parks and Rec, we had this request a while ago, but wanted to bring it back up. It is a request to grant Parks and Rec the access to town social media for the express purpose of promoting all of the upcoming events that I just listed. We find it would be very helpful for us to be able to craft these posts and then increase our attendance and motivation for local folks to participate in these events. So I would like to move the town council approve access to the town social media to Parks and Rec for the express purpose of promoting upcoming town events.
Second on the motion, second from George. Discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand.
Yes.
Opposed?
Sorry, I'm voting for it.
Okay, thank you, Roberta. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've been through ORC, Roberta, nothing ordinance. You have the OCO's report. One of you, Water Department,
Sorry, can you repeat who the second was on that motion?
George.
Thank you.
Water Department General Report, Steve?
That's great.
Steve, make sure you speak directly into the microphone, so.
Okay, yep. Well, it's been rather busy down at the water department this month. I'm gonna hold off maybe the topic of perhaps most interest being our incident last week with chlorine gas. Hold that off, and then I'm gonna probably turn to Greg first, defer to him, and if he wants me to fill in any other details I have, I'd be happy to do that. But anyhow, let me start with some really great news. We do have a new hire. We have an operator who has accepted an offer, and at this point, looks like we'll start no later than November the 12th. So this is wonderful. And thank you to all those who had a role, the council, the mayor, and all the rest to make that happen. We did complete our copper lead. This is an annual survey. We send samples out to 20 customers. We actually got that turned in one day in advance of the deadline. The Water Commission helped out with that in terms of gathering some samples. Kathy had a tremendous effort in pulling all that together, and it was quite a lift to get that done. Nobody at the water plant, nobody within the water department has truly conducted one of these from beginning to end in the past. So it was a lot of learning, but we did get that done. We are very much in the midst of completing a lead service line inventory, EPA mandated. Deadline for that is this coming Wednesday. It looks like we stand a good chance of hitting that deadline. So that's also great news. We had pulled in Larry Waters. He's been a big help with all that. We pulled in Kenny. I'm afraid I don't know Kenny's last name, but from the PSD. And he's been helping. But really Sean and Ryan working with Larry and Kenny, and then here in the office, Kathy to gather all the information, put in the database. That's actually, we're well on our. I think we're going to hit that. So that's great. Do you want to? So leaks. We've had some good progress on leaks, although it's kind of like spitting in the ocean. But the money that that Greg announced is hopefully going to go a long way to systemically fixing a lot of issues with the system. But we keep kind of sticking our finger in the dike as best we can. I will say the service line that Storm held up, and he mentioned that in the context of the payments to Greenridge, but Greenridge has been very helpful out on Washington Street with the mayor's approval. But I do want to say that line actually was replaced by Sean and Ryan a week ago Friday, a late afternoon kind of call from the sidewalk contractor, and they stayed late to get that done. So I do want to kind of recognize the work that they had done on that particular one. But yeah, that's a piece of Swiss cheese. So that's the worst we've seen, but it is representative of what we found on what we have been finding with Greenridge's help, but have been finding on Washington Street. Mason Way, Sean and Ryan did fix a leak on Mason Way next to Larry Waters' house, and that was on the 12th of September. And when I look at the month of September, I'm looking at from midnight till 4 in the morning. That's when I'm assuming nobody's really using water. And so I'm looking at the rate at which the water drains out of the tanks as representative, largely representative of our leaks. Okay. By fixing Mason Way, it looks like that may account for roughly 12% of our current lost water. We did have the loop that Mason Way is on, which goes from Washington Street up Storer College Place, down Fillmore, Mason Way, and it also goes over on Boundary Street. There's probably at least that much water also leaking in that loop because we had that loop shut off for one night. So I looked at the data for that night when the whole loop was shut off, and then compared it to prior to that, and compared it to after we made the change. So we have an idea of where that would account for about a quarter of all of our lost water that we have been reporting. Now that's very back of the envelope, kind of calculations. But anyhow, that's nice results. But I also look at it, and quite honestly, we fixed Mason Way, and as soon as we got Mason Way fixed, I don't recall who currently owns the house, but Dan Riss's former house. There's a leak at the end of his driveway that popped up and is on our list as soon as we got the lead inventory stuff done. But so yeah, you fix one and another one, opens up. I think the pressure, in the line that just finds the next weakest place. So we have that real quickly in terms of our unaccounted for water. We basically pushed about 5.8 gallons up to the tanks. We had unaccounted for water about 2.5 gallons. So the rate this month was about 43%. So despite the the leaks on Mason Way and all the rest that we fixed, I didn't see any great improvement this month in the unaccounted for water. But I am hopeful that I do expect it to drop a little bit for us next month. So that brings me to last Friday with the chlorine gas leak that we did call in a 911. And I'll kind of let Greg take the lead on that.
Yeah, I briefed the council already on an email. The only thing that I will add is I got contacted by the media probably Friday, Steve, I think it was. And they wanted statements, obviously, and I gave statements, and it was fairly accurately represented in the journal that came out Saturday. Chris, you sent it to me? I forget what day it was. Might have been Saturday.
Maybe Saturday.
But it was around the fitting at the back of the tank in the chlorine room. I will say again for the record that the chlorine room is completely sealed from the main water plant. So at no time were any of the employees endangered, anything like that. So it was an unfortunate thing, but we followed protocol, and through Steve's leadership, we got through it, and at least we know how to deal with those things. Hope we don't have to get better and better at it.
Well, there are a number of things we will do after action report, post-mortem, what you may call it. But I think there are certainly a lot of learnings that we'll gather from this this incident. But as Greg said, one of the firmest protocols that we do have down at the plant is that no one goes into the chlorine room alone, and they have to wear a mask upon entering. Actually, they can enter by themselves if they've already called 911. But when we got into this, I did not have someone else down there besides Tom to enter the room and investigate. And from what I was on the phone with Tom, I was not in the area, but we made the decision to evacuate the plant, and after conferring with Greg, and actually I conferred with our contractor who had built the plant, Alvarez. But Greg made the call Greg instructed me to make the call to 911, which Tom did from here locally in Knox.
Any question for Steve, Chris?
Steve, I don't know how these lead surveys work. Have we seen anything to be concerned about?
No, the results that we got back on the lead survey. So lead survey is 20 customers. It's copper and lead. And they look at your 90th percentile. So they basically say you rank all the numbers, all the results you get back, and they say, okay, the 18th worst, where does that fall within the action limits? And we were below the action limits, so there's no action that we have to take with that. That is really, we don't have, to the best of our knowledge, we do not have lead service lines. We don't have lead in the system, other than copper solder used for copper pipes. But you could also have lead in homeowners' fixtures. Okay, and so we have not seen anything that would require us to take additional action as a result of the survey. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thankfully, most of Harper's Ferry didn't get plumbing until after lead was out of vogue.
They're very interested in copper that was installed between 83 and 89. That's tier 1. And then tier 2 is anything that is copper between earlier than 83. So we looked at anything for tier 2 from 82 to about 1950 because, for example, my house built in the 1850s, I think, didn't have plumbing. And so you go and you ask somebody there, well, when did your plumbing go in? And oftentimes you don't get a good answer, or it's all been replaced at this point by plastic and all that. So
Thank you, Steve.
okay, thank you.
Mike is not here for Water Commission. Landmarks, George, anything?
We reviewed and approved the requested changes.
Thank you, George. IOC Nina's not here. Unfinished business discussion action regarding motorized livery service in Harper's Ferry. Who's got that?
Oh, I guess I will walk through where we are. So
I would like to
council,
back that up because I think Storm and I are kind of putting this together jointly.
Okay, that's noted for the record. Thanks, Roberta.
so council had passed a motion that the town work with the vendor in developing a business plan. So there was some communication and back and forth about it. And I had a thing come up early last week that I fell off of the matter. So I don't know what may have happened at the end of the week. But there were discussions that revolved around mostly about public safety, and in particular, if it is even possible per state code for a low-speed vehicle to operate on a state route, which is High Street in Washington all the way up and through. And it appears to be pretty clear that it cannot. The other issues may be surmountable, but that would need to be worked out. There are serious safety concerns with that. That is as far as I know right now.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, I'd like to take the time to add some additional comments. I have in full disclosure, I have spoken to the woman who was presented this to us last month, and I've also talked to her in subsequent conversations to see what we can do to maybe get this to have some more review before it's totally turned down by the town and the entity. So we're looking at what can she do to meet the criteria laid out in the report. And I do need to ask, has that report from the police department been given to the applicant officially? Do we know if that's been given to her?
I do not know. Roberta?
Okay.
The chair did not give it.
Okay. Can she come in and request a copy of that report so she knows what the concerns are, what she has to prove to the town and give data to the town that meets either the state codes anything that the West Virginia DOH needs to have her comply with, and any other safety concerns that maybe this town wants her to comply with. But again, I think this is a 21st century idea. It's a 21st century business coming into our little town of the 18th century. So I think it'd be a good combination. It'd be a good experiment. Even if, again, we gave her an opportunity to partner in an event. We've got the Christmas events coming up, old time Christmas coming up. Maybe she can get this information resolved with the town, maybe the planning commission, maybe the police department, the entities that need to look at this, and maybe do like she wanted to do, just an experiment. And maybe the old time Christmas event would be a good experiment. We're going to have a lot of people in town, a lot of people going around, and a lot of people at all hours of the night on for 2 weekends. So we might give her, maybe be open-minded to an opportunity to that effect. But I think let's give them the opportunity to address the concerns that are in the report from the police department. Let's not turn them away 100%. Let's slow down a bit and let's go ahead and let them have the opportunity to respond to those issues, present the data that would correct those issues, and maybe we can reach a good compromise or even reach an approval for this vendor that would help our tourists. It would relieve congestion that maybe the residents find on the weekends and during our holidays. She probably would be eliminating 50 some cars coming into the town and reduce the parking need or searching for parking need, because most of the spaces are full on the weekends. We're reducing the emissions, so we're doing something that's globally a green. We're promoting a green business. We're reducing the emissions and the harmful emissions coming into the town, affecting our residents, our tourists, and the people that live here. So, it might be a good fit if we can give this person the opportunity to come back and to present to us. So I would like to present a motion that the vendor, Elite Excursions, work closely with at least 1 or 2 representatives from the town council and 1 or 2 representatives from the planning commission to help them address the issues presented in the police report and be able to come back to the planning commission and town council with the solutions that might answer and solve the problems presented.
Hey, could you state that motion again?
Yes.
right.
Okay. I would like the Elite Excursion, the vendor presenting this livery service, to have the opportunity to come back, to have the opportunity to work with at least 1 or 2 members of the town council and 1 or 2 members of the planning commission to address the issues and concerns presented in the police report document and come back to the planning commission and town council with resolutions and solutions to offer a successful opportunity for the livery service.
Is there a second on the motion? Hearing none, the motion fails. Storm, did you have your hand up?
I did. I actually agree with just about everything Roberta said, and I continue to believe that this is something that is a developing need for the town. I think would be beneficial on the whole. However, right at this moment with what we have in front of us, especially after talking with the chief and understanding more, particularly about what appears to be a bright line on low-speed vehicles, and even if there weren't low-speed vehicles, a number of the challenges that are faced. So I would be in favor of developing an ordinance about library in general to solve the issues. But I feel like trying to rush this forward would be a big hazard, especially if we were trying to do it with low-speed vehicles.
Thank you. George?
I have a motion. Move that the town council take no action on the motorized livery service in Harpers Ferry.
Motion is out of order. Cannot have a motion stating that you are not doing.
Actually, I could use the word preclude if that would help you,
Taking absence.
but I believe that we can preclude. We can't take no action, but we can take the action to preclude, sir.
We have to go to the book.
No, we don't. You got a solution to this? Because we have discussion,
Well,
I have-
taking no action is,
take no action, is no action. Okay, I withdraw
Okay,
this motion.
I have another motion I'd like to present.
go ahead, Roberta.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that the Elite Excursions, the vendor offering delivery service, work with a designated town council member, that would be Roberta Mead Curry, to present and sponsor an opportunity to present their business and potential research to draft a town ordinance to be presented to the ORC Commission for review and preparation for a possible first reading.
may I offer a suggestion before this goes to being a second?
Go ahead, Storm.
Could that be stated as moving to have the ordinance review committee develop a livery services ordinance suitable for Harper's Ferry?
I believe we have to have someone bring something forward and sponsor it. So either town council has to direct us to do this, but the vendor is the one that maybe has some key issues to bring forward and help us maybe write that ordinance.
Okay. Roberta, I'm going to interject here if I may. I mean, you have a motion on the floor. Okay. I'm going to go forward with that motion. Is there a second on the motion? Hearing none, the motion fails.
I would like to hear Storm's motion, please, again, that he was suggesting.
George?
I make a motion to end discussion on this agenda item 6A.
Your second on the motion.
Okay.
Motion fails.
I move to have the ordinance review committee develop a livery services ordinance suitable for Harper's Ferry and compliant with West Virginia law.
Is there a
I'll second
second
that.
on the motion?
I'll second
Excuse
it.
me, is there a second on the motion?
I'll second it. Thank you.
Is there discussion on the motion? George?
I feel this flies in the face of what our very competent and thoughtful law enforcement has offered us. I am on the ORC and I do not see a point in doing that. And I would strenuously object to it.
Thank you, George. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Abstain.
Motion fails.
We have a roll call vote, please, on that?
Too late.
Too late. The motion, the vote has been taken, Roberta.
What is the vote
It was-
calculation,
It
please?
was, yeah, it was 3-2, motion failed. Those opposed were George, Greg, and Zach. Those for it were Roberta and Storm, and Chris abstained.
Okay, there was one absent. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Move to adjourn?
Nope, one more.
No?
One more. One little last dollop of goodness.
7B.
Go ahead, Storm. What do you got?
Oh, it's the discussion and action on approval of the 2024-25 winter inclement weather policy for employees.
Okay, you all have that. Patty has distributed the policy. Patty, there have been no changes, correct? This is the same as this council approved last year. And hopefully we won't have to use it. just like last year, except for a couple times.
I move to adopt the 2024-25 winter inclement weather policy for employees as presented.
Is there a second on the motion? Second, Chris, discussion on the motion, Roberta?
I'm sorry, my hand was supposed to be lowered.
Oh, okay. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand.
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Motion carries 6-0.
Make motion to adjourn.
Have a second? Second. All those in favor of adjourning, raise your hand.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, opposed, 0. Motion carries 6. We are adjourned at 8:43 p.m.